And David, I am going to walk you through Kristen in the Kitchen on Thursdays, all about workflows and workloads. Listen, this is going to go everywhere in your business, everywhere in your life. Project management, seeing life in workflows, seeing how long it takes for the components. This is a secret sauce that I want you to adopt. So hang with me. We are going to make an amazing cake, and we're going to walk through the baking workflows and workloads from start to finish. So let's go. All right, first of all, over here, we've got a workflow, right? You've got different boxes, different categories. So the first one is plan, right? You need somebody to take the decision, the ideation phase, plan, what kind of cake are you going to bake? Today, we've got two. We're going to make a chocolate cake right here. I also already have a vanilla with lemon filling that I already prepped so we can ice it together. So the planning phase, short but important. Don't ever forget it. It's the first phase of project management, plan. Next, so 15 minutes. Give yourself 15. Maybe it only takes 5 or 10. Next part, inventory. Now, is that a different human? In a big kitchen, yeah. In my kitchen, just me. But we need to take inventory. Do we have the right ingredients? Do we have the cocoa powder? Do we have the eggs? Do we have all the things? I ran down to the farmer's market, got some eggs. By the way, I love to do little paintings on my egg cartons. It makes it fun. So part two, phase two. Inventory. We need to make sure you have all your ingredients ready before you get started, right? That's important. Next, your third part, prep. So I already started prepping. We're going to put some stuff together. I've got all of our ingredients laid out here. We're ready to rock and roll. Normally, if you're in a big kitchen, this might be the prep cook, right? A different human, and 15 minutes to go pull from the shelves the flour, the milk, the sugar, all the components that you need so that you can start making the cake. Now, the next phase is the mix phase, right? That's what we're about to do. We're going to start mixing this up. Again, if you're a solo in the kitchen, you're doing it all. If you're in a big kitchen, it might be someone else. It might be a mixer. That's the person who is actually the chef that's mixing it, tasting it, making sure it's perfect. From there, so let's give that 15 minutes or so. And then from there is the bake phase, right? The baker is the one managing the ovens. They're keeping a tight eye, especially in a big factory, right? There's a lot of stuff going in and out, or it's automated, right? They've got timers. Imagine that, everybody. Make your life easy. Don't leave as much room to mess up. When we're manual in our business, that leaves more room for error. So having these workflows and identifying where can we automate. Once we understand the process, ask, how can we make this even better? How can we automate this process? So the final phase, next phase is icing the cake. We're going to get to that. By the way, baby, here's our 3-layer vanilla with lemon filling. I made homemade lemon filling out of fresh lemons last night. So we're going to ice that up. And of course, it wouldn't be a UIB thing unless we had some blue icing, right? So I whipped together some blue icing, some red icing, some white icing, red, white, and blue. It's the season. So we're going to go ahead and go through. The icing takes the biggest part, right? That's delicate. You need to have a design. You need to execute on that design. You need to know what you're going to do and be ready to pivot when it doesn't go as planned. I've baked hundreds of cakes. I used to do this a ton in college. I was the baking queen. And sometimes it doesn't go as planned. Sometimes that guitar cake turns into some other kind of cake, right? It becomes a remote control cake. No joke. That's happened once. So icing, very important. And you might have someone with very specific skill set, right? This is like in your business. You might have lawyers and paralegals, different people who are doing different tasks, right? So you've got to have a person with the right qualifications for certain elements of your workflow. And finally, the favorite, we eat and debrief. Remember, project management, planning, prepping and building is phase two. Execution, that's the mix, the bake, the ice. That's the execution and launch. And then finally, the debrief, right? We've got to actually have that debrief. How did it turn out? How can we make it better next time? What do we want to do different next time? Very important if you want your business to keep thriving and growing. So it is time for us to get to mixing. I've already done the planning. I've already done the prep, the inventory. I've already done the prep. So here we are. We're going to add 2 cups of sugar. We already have a cup and a half, 1 3/4 cups of flour. So now we need 2 big cups of sugar. Yep, just perfect in there. Then we're going to move on to our cocoa. I already did that. So it's perfectly in there. Lots of good cocoa in there. All right. Next, we're going to go with some baking powder and some baking soda. Now, I got to do a little shout out to Get Staffed Up. Years ago, they gave me these amazing little wooden cups. They know it literally says the Kristen David personalized on it. This one says Baking Queen because they heard the story. Best baker ever and baked with love. And some cool little spoons to go with it. So, you know your audience. This is client happiness. This is really getting your people where they thrive. Like they love working with you. But when you can show that you know what they love to do and you tap into that energy and you have that connection, that's where you have lifetime clients. That's where you get people that don't want to leave you. They will forever refer you business, help you out, take care of you. So if you need a little help with your client happiness, we got a whole client happiness coordinator package, how to hire, onboard, and train up, 50-page policy and procedure manual. I'm pretty passionate about that stuff. So we're going to do a quick little stir. Again, if you've never made a cake before, guess what? You're going to follow a recipe, right? There's recipes online. There's recipes on the back of products. The sugar, the flour, almost all these products have great recipes in there. You can go online. You can ask ChatGPT. One of my favorite things to do sometimes when I'm hungry and I'm just feeling fussy, I've had a long day and I don't know what to make, and maybe I had something planned, but it's going to take too long. I just go to ChatGPT and I list what's in my fridge, and it literally will give me a bunch of, give me 10 recipe ideas that are 20 minutes or less. It's amazing what it comes up with, right? Okay, so if you've never made a cake before, follow the instructions. I've done a few. I always like to mix my dry ingredients before we start moving into our wet ingredients. So next we're going to go with 2 eggs. Here we go. Some eggs in here. Awesome, awesome. Little Julia Child, one hand. Oop, there we go. Having a little fun in the kitchen. The kitchen is one of my favorite places to be, you guys. I truly enjoy being in the kitchen. So we're going to do 1 cup of milk. I like to use almond milk at times. It gives it just a nice extra flavor. Sometimes if I'm doing a creamier cake, I'll go with more full milk or even half and half. Little hint, sometimes we pivot. It's what you have on hand, right? We've all been there. Maybe all you have is heavy whipping cream. Dilute it with some water. It makes milk, right? Close enough. You don't have to be so precise every time. Okay, we got 2 teaspoons, not tablespoons, of vanilla. I love getting this vanilla from every time I go to Mexico. It is so yummy. One of my faves. So listen, workflows. Why are they so important? Well, it helps everyone know step by step what the process is, what you're working on, what needs to happen, right? So they can anticipate the needs and get through things. So the more you can, people all the time tell me, I've got a staff problem. My staff aren't doing their job. Maybe you have a workflows problem because you haven't actually explained what needs to happen and what the timing is for each of those. Once you give them that, people love to step up. And then they have clarity what they're supposed to be doing. Even if they don't know what to do perfectly, they're going to work with you on it. Okay, this is going to get a little loud for a moment because listen, I could do this by hand, but this will be quicker. So give me just a minute here. Hopefully it's not too loud for you. We're just doing a quick mix of our ingredients. I often do it in the sink, so it's not as messy. Now, that brings us to a great point. tips. In your procedures manual, you should always have a little asterisk, a little extra note that has the tips and tricks. It also should tie in with your core values. Like, we clean up along the way so that we don't end up with a big mess at the end. We keep cleaning as we go. I whipped up some more frosting earlier. Immediately cleaned my dish so I'm ready and can use everything again, right? You build that culture in your business. People get so reactive, especially in my law firm days, right? Here's a quick one. Reactivity. You want to change your business from being reactive to proactive? Number one, start with having the team understand the workflow and the workload so they know how much time they need to designate. And number two, get them in the habit of getting done at least 24 hours in advance of deadlines and celebrate. Celebrate that they got done early. What's going to happen is people are going to have so much fun, and they're going to literally have like this little dopamine rush in their brain, just like when you press the like button. By the way, hit the like button for me on social media if you're watching this. Give us a comment if you're having fun watching me whip together this cake. So you're going to literally train your team to be in this mode where they're going to always want to finish things early. They're going to get in that habit. In 20, 30 days, you can go from a reactive business to a proactive business. The first step, some workflows, just like making a cake, right? Just like having a recipe to follow with the procedures, step by step, who shall do what, by when, right? That is going to be key. So our final ingredient here is a little hot water. Let's just grab this. Now, this particular recipe I like, it's a very thin batter. So one of the keys is that I've got to have the oven ready. I've got my pans ready. And as soon as we're done with the hot water, we're going to pour it and put it in the oven. So very important. Now, if you're new to cake baking, you might not have known that little technique, right? You might have not, maybe you've watched someone do it, but you didn't understand the why, right? That's why it's so important that you have conversations with your team. Why are they doing these things? Why is it important? How does it affect the clients? How does it affect the other team members? The fact that the paralegal is behind, or the fact that owners, you're the bottleneck, shame on you. You need to lead by example. You need to be on time. Now, listen, sometimes that takes a little bit of work to do, right? You've got to take a little time to make sure you get up to speed. And sometimes you have to say, okay, we're gonna set these 5 cases aside. We're already behind. We're gonna, from this day forward, all new cases, we're gonna stay up on. We're gonna follow the workflow. We're gonna follow our workload, and we're gonna stay up on those. And in the next 2 weeks, we'll start wrapping back in some of those cases we're behind on and get those finished up and wrapped up. So listen, you all have a choice. It's the new quarter. Start building a new you. Get some accountability. Get a coach that can help you. Get a coach for your team to teach them how to build the policies and procedures. So there you go. Voila. Beautiful chocolate cake. So we've got a couple of springform pans here, and I'm just going to quickly eyeball. Get half in there and half in here. Grab my spatula, because listen, your spatula is like your profit cleanup, right? Rather than leaving a little extra and letting it go down the drain, your spatula makes sure you get every bit of love out of this. Now, by the way, this cake is going to be a 2-layer chocolate cake with vanilla pudding in the middle. I thought about doing cherry, but we already have the lemon, so I thought I'd just go kind of basic, and everybody loves chocolate and vanilla. So, okay, we got to get these in the oven real quick. Voila. Okay. Set timer 25 minutes. Awesome, awesome. All right, so we are already past the mix into the bake. While those are baking, I got you hooked up over here. So again, back to those policies, procedures, workflows. One of the best things you can do is have an organized filing system where all of these items live, your workflows, your workloads, your policies, your procedures, your checklists, your examples, your templates, and folder number 8, your tips and tricks folder. So here's a little tip and trick for you if you've never iced a cake, or maybe you have. Grab some hot water, put it in a nice mug, and I've got this nice up-leveling your business mug, of course. And take your spatula and go ahead and drop it in here. And so when you have this, see, I left half of this all rugged. So you take this rugged side and you take this hot spatula and you can just go whoop, and it will just smooth it right out, right? I'm doing this from left. I need to go right to left. I'm right-handed. And so it's just the hot part of the spatula is going to even out the cake and allow you to form it perfectly. Now, we're going to end up putting a lot of frosting over the top of this, so we probably don't need to make this look too perfect, but I like to at least even it out a little bit and maybe dump a little bit to even it out. Cool. Good, good. All right, we're going to get to icing. How's that? We got this nice, beautiful cake. So what we've got here is a layer of vanilla, and then you make a little rim on the inside with the frosting. You add your lemon filling. Lemon filling, super easy to make from scratch, by the way. All you do is you use a fresh lemon. Actually, I used 2 because these were kind of small lemons, and some cornstarch and sugar. You mix the cornstarch and sugar up first. You add in the lemon juice, and then you cook it slowly on a low heat or a double boiler if you have one. I don't always have one. And you go ahead until it thickens, like 15 minutes, and it makes this beautiful, beautiful lemon filling. Let's see if I've got a little bit left here. See if you guys can see that. Look at that. Beautiful. Just glistening. Oh, it's so yum. So yum. So then we did another layer, and then again, you put the dam, the little circle around the outer edge with the frosting, put your filling in, and then your next layer, and then ice. So now you next want to have a nice organized kit. There's something to be said about having little organized areas, having things, it's got its own lid. When I'm done, I can easily put it away. It's small, it's compact, it's got what I need. I do have a bigger kit, but listen, you don't need all that all the time. And you want to have, oh, some good frosting, right? So we've got lots of different frostings so we can ice. We've got some different tips that we're going to use. We're going to have a little fun here with icing this cake. Now, remember, on our workflow, icing is supposed to be a 1-hour adventure. And usually you want somebody with good skill in that area, just like an attorney. Remember, there's only, in my law firm, I had 4 attorneys when I sold my firm. Each attorney had very specific know-how, right? They were really good at different things. And everybody knew, so we could hand off to the right people to do the right job. Same with the paralegals. So you want to really map out and find people in their zones of genius. That's part of when you have a workflow, you can see who do you need and find the right humans to go into those spots. So that's really fun. And you also want to know the workload, because if on average it takes an hour to ice, and then all of a sudden you bring in a new person, they're taking 3.5 hours, you've got to say, hey, help me understand. This is called data-driven leadership. This is where you use data, i.e., it's taking you 3.5 hours and it should take 1 hour, and you bring a little curiosity and you ask that person and you get their narrative, you get their story, you learn from them what they perceive is what's going on. Don't just jump to conclusions. You want to make sure that you engage them. You're trying to find a solution. You're not there to beat them. You're not there to like make them quit, right? We want a solution. We want results. We want them to get it down to 1 hour and be efficient and effective and more profitable for you. So we need to make sure that we take that time to understand your workflow, the average workload. Now, listen, there might be a certain case where In my days of practicing law, there was an attorney in town that was just a jerk. And we knew anytime we had a case with this guy, it was going to take 3 times as long. He just made everything more difficult. So listen, they're outliers. We get that. Workloads, though, give you a base and give you an area so you can plan, you can forecast, you know when you're going to have to hire some people, right? So we're going to do some little stars. Oh, I think my frosting's a little cold. Hold on, I'm going to try to massage it and warm it up a little with my hands. So your workflows and workloads are going to give you that base understanding so that you can have the conversations with everybody and understand what needs to happen. So again, this is one of those areas where we have to have a base foundation to then fine tune your profit margins, fine tune the happiness levels in your team. Because if you see somebody that it should be taking an hour and it's taking forever, it might just be that they don't like doing that thing. Or it's that they don't know how to do it well. So they procrastinate. It takes them longer because they're not confident that they know what they're doing. So we're just going to do some little swirls here. All right. Look at that. Some UIB blue on there. If you haven't guessed, blue is my favorite color. Just in case you needed to know that. For those of you that follow us, you know that I'm always in blue. It's my thing. So listen, I'm not going to have you watch me do decorate the whole cake, because obviously this is going to take a little while, right? We got a little work that's got to happen here. But we definitely can at least put a little pink, a little red on here. I actually used, for the red, I used a berry. It's a natural, organic colored that I like to use often. Sometimes I'll even do raspberries or, you know, my own natural coloring, but we're just going to put some little, I'm going to drop some. Yay, look at that, coming together. So we're going to do a little red, white, and blue cake. It's going to be fun. Maybe I'll get a picture up later of the whole entire thing, let you guys see what it's like. But again, this is all about having fun in the kitchen, but everything is easier when you have a roadmap. Everything is easier when you have a workflow, when your team understands the process. So listen, project management, workflows, workloads, these are the base foundational things. They didn't teach me in law school, but once I learned them, it was the game changer. And we've got our workflows and workloads boot camp. I got to tell you, people come out of that raving about what they've accomplished and what their team has accomplished. In 6 weeks, we've transformed not just the legal teams, but workflows and workloads on marketing teams, intake teams, sales teams, admin teams. How would you like to know what your admin team's up to and how long it should be taking them to do those tasks, right? Game changer. I'm telling you, this is how you get your profit margin up. This is how we get through all of this stuff. Here, I'm going to come to this side a little bit here. So here's the thing. If you don't know what you need, let us know. We can help you, because you've got to triage what's going on in your business, what needs to be done, and you've got to get your team to be involved. Listen, sometimes we need to let some people go. Maybe they're not on your team. Maybe they're not really working for you, but most of them want to help. They want to do good. They want to have this happen. And that's just something that you've got to kind of work through. We've got to recognize it's not a staff issue all the time. A lot of it is a systems issue. You need the policies and procedures. You need the workflows. So you start with the 10,000 foot view workflow. Then we get into the 5,000 foot view within inventory or within the mixing. What are the steps that need to happen, right? Just like this beautiful recipe, you know, look at any food recipe, you'll see who shall do what by when. It says mix together your dry ingredients first. And then it will say mix in the wet ingredients. And then it will say mix it with the mixer for 2 minutes or whatever it says, right? So again, who shall do what by when? This is such a beautiful part of this. So have a little fun, you guys. This is part of you learning how to run and manage your business like a business and empowering your team to step up. That's a big part of this. I'm just going ahead and going for the whole circle here. Usually I have my little turn kit. I should have gotten it and make it a little easier. But all right, you guys. So if you have questions, let us know. I am all fired up this quarter about making sure people are building out those workflows and workloads. It is such a game changer. I want you and your team thriving and having fun. So please make it happen. Get signed up. Get with a coach. If you're more of a person that needs one-on-one coaching and you don't like group coaching, you don't like having to work on your own pace, cool. Get signed up with one of our coaches. Have your team get involved with one of our coaches, right? That's even better than you doing it, owners. So have a little fun. I've got a cake to bake or to finish icing, and I got to get that one out of the oven. Listen, happy Thursday, everybody. I'm going to do a few more of these. Kristen in the kitchen, having a little fun. If you have a favorite recipe, let me know. Maybe I'll make it live on the next live stream. But I want you thriving. I want you enjoying your midweek. I want you doing what you love. If you can't tell, I love workflows. I love baking. I love cooking. So Kristen in the kitchen is always a good time. Hey, if you've had fun with this live stream, please drop a comment in the social media, shoot me an email, let me know what you thought was the favorite part, and share. Help us help more people. Your referrals mean the world to us, your compliments, your testimonials, and let's help you build those workflows and workloads so that you and your team can thrive. All right, you guys, signing off for today. Bye, everyone.